Hello, precious. Are you ready for a bedtime story? Good. I've been looking forward to this all day. You know that this is one of my favorite times, right? When I get to ask you about your day and when it's just you, me, and one of my favorite books. You did have a good day, though, right? I hope so. You know that I always want what's best for you, right? Now, we are here to read King Solomon's Mines by H. Rider Haggard. You ready to go? You all comfy in your bed? Alright. Now where were we? Oh, here we go. From the shore floated sweet, spicy odors that always remind me of hymns and missionaries. And in the window of the houses on the Birka sparkled 100 lights. From a large brig lying near also came the music of the sailors as they worked at getting the anchor up in order to be ready for the wind. Although it was a perfect night, such a night as you sometimes get in southern Africa, it threw a garment of peace over everybody, as the moon threw a garment of silver over everything. Even the great bulldog, belonging to a sporting passenger, seemed to yield to its gentle influences, and forgetting his yearning to come to close quarters with the baboon in a cage from the fossil, snored happily at the door of the cabin, dreaming, no doubt, that he had finished him, and happy in his dreams. We three, that is, Sir Henry Curtis, Captain Good, and myself, went and sat by the wheel, and were quiet for a while. "Well, Mr. Quatermain," said Sir Henry presently, "have you been thinking about my proposals?" "Aye," echoed Captain Good. "What do you think of them, Mr. Quatermain? I hope that you are going to give us the pleasure of your company, so far as Solomon's Mines, or whenever the gentleman you knew as Neville may have got to." I rose and knocked out my pipe before I answered. I had not made up my mind, and wanted an additional moment to decide. Before the burning tobacco had fallen into the sea, I had decided. Just that little extra second did the trick. It is often the way when you have been bothering a long time over a thing. "Yes, gentlemen," I said, sitting down again. "I will go, and by your leave, I will tell you why, and on what conditions. First, for the terms I will ask. 1. You are to pay all expenses, and any ivory or other valuables we may get is to be divided between Captain Good and myself. 2. that you give me £500 for my services on the trip before we start. I undertaking to serve you faithfully till you choose to abandon the enterprise, or till we succeed, or disaster overtakes us. 3. That before we trek, you execute a deed agreeing in the event of my death or dismemberment to pay my boy Harry, who is studying medicine over there in London, at Guy's Hospital, a sum of £200 a year for 5 years, by which time he ought to have earned a living for himself, if he is worth his salt. That is all, I think, and I dare say you will think quite enough, too. No, answered Sir Henry. I accept them gladly. I am bent upon this project, and would gladly pay more than that for your help, considering the peculiar and exclusive knowledge in which you possess. Pity I did not ask it then. But I won't go back on my word. And now that I have got my terms, I will tell you the reasoning for making up my mind to go. First of all, gentlemen, I have been observing both of you for the last few days, and if you will not think of me impertinent, I may say that I like you, and believe that we shall come up well to the yoke together. That is something, let me tell you, when one has a long journey like this before one. And now, as to the journey itself, I tell you flatly, Sir Henry and Captain Good, that I do not think it probable we can come out of it alive. That is, if we attempt to cross the Solomon Mountains. What was the fate of the old Dom de Silvestre 300 years ago? What was the fate of his descendant 20 years ago? What has been your brother's fate? I tell you frankly, gentlemen, that as their fates were, so I believe ours will be. I paused to watch the effect of my words. Captain Good looked a little uncomfortable, but Sir Henry's face did not change. We must take our chance, he said. You may perhaps wonder, I went on, why, if I think this, I, who am, as I told you, a timid man, should undertake such a journey. It is for 2 reasons. First, I am a fatalist, and believe that my time is appointed to come quite without reference to my own movements and will, and that if I am to go to Solomon's Mountains to be killed, I shall go there and be killed. God Almighty, no doubt, knows his mind about me, so I need not trouble on that point. Secondly, I am a poor man. For nearly 40 years I have hunted and traded, but I have never made more than a living. Well, gentlemen, I don't know if you are aware that the average life of an elephant hunter, from the time he takes to the trade, is between 4 and 5 years. So you see that I have lived about 7 generations of my class, and I should think that my time cannot be far off anyway. Now, if something were to happen to me in the ordinary course of business, by the time my debts are paid, there would be nothing left to support my son, Harry, whilst he's getting in the way of earning a living. Whereas now he will be set up for 5 years. There is the whole affair, in a nutshell. Mr. Quatermain, said Sir Henry, who had been giving me his most serious attention, your motives for undertaking an enterprise in which you can only end in disaster reflect a great deal of credit on you, whether or not you are right. Of course, time and the event alone can show. But whether you are right or wrong, I may as well tell you at once that I am going through with it to the end, sweet or bitter. If we are to be knocked on the head, all I have to say is that I hope we get a little shooting first. Eh? Good? Yes, yes, put in the captain. We have all 3 of us been accustomed to face danger, and to hold our lives in our hands in various ways. So it is no good turning back now. And now I vote we go down to the saloon and take an observation, just for luck, you know. And we did, through the bottom of a tumbler. Next day we went ashore, and I put up Sir Henry and Captain Good at the little shanty I have built on the Berea, and which I call my home. There are only 3 rooms and a kitchen in it, and it is constructed of green brick with galvanized iron roof. But there is a good garden with the best Lecote trees in it that I know, and some nice young mangoes, of which I hope great things. The curator of the botanical gardens gave them to me. It is looked after by an old hunter of mine named Jack, whose thigh was so badly broken by a buffalo cow in the Sickernoonies country that he will never hunt again. But he can potter about and garden. Being a Griqua by birth, you will never persuade a Zulu to take much interest in gardening. It is a peaceful art, and peaceful arts are not in his line. Sir Henry and Good slept in a tent pitched in my little grove of orange trees at the end of the garden, for there is no room for them in the house. And what with the smell of the bloom and the sight of the green and golden fruit, in Durban you will see all 3 on the tree together. Dare say it is a pleasant place enough, for we have few mosquitoes here on the Berea, unless there happens to come in an unusually heavy rain. Well, to get on, for I do not know, Harry, you will be tired of my story before we ever fetch up to Solomons Mounts. Having once made up my mind to go, I set about making the necessary preparations. First, I secured the deed from Sir Henry, providing for you, my boy, in case of accidents. There was some difficulty about its legal execution, as Sir Henry was a stranger here, and the property to be charged is over the water, but it is ultimately got over with the help of a lawyer, who charged £20 for the job, a price that I thought outrageous. Then I pocketed my cheque for £500. Having paid this tribute to my bump of caution, I purchased a wagon and a span of oxen on Sir Henry's behalf, and the beauties they were. It was a 22-foot wagon with iron axles, very strong, very light, and built thoroughly of stinkwood. Not quite a new one, having been to the diamond fields and back, but, in my opinion, all the better for that, for I could see that the wood was well seasoned, and if anything is going to give in a wagon, or if there is green wood in it, it will show out on the first trip. This particular vehicle was what we call a half-tented wagon. That is to say, only covered in the aft 12 feet, leaving all the front part free for the necessities which we had to carry with us. In this after part were a hide cartle, or bed, on which 2 people could sleep, also racks for rifles, and many other little conveniences. I gave £125 for it, and I think that it was cheap at that price. Look at you, precious, already drifting off to sleep. I've been looking forward to tonight, so thank you for sharing it with me. Now, don't keep Morpheus waiting. He's up there waiting for you in the stars. Go make sure that you tell him that I said hello. Okay? Now, sweet dreams, precious, and stay safe on the river Lethe.